On July 24th, just after midnight, Queen Anne's County was devastated by a natural phenomenon that hasn't been witnessed in the area for over 30 years. At 1:27 a.m., the National Weather Service sent out an emergency message to many sleeping residents. At 1:29 a.m., a mere 2 minutes after the warning, the sounds of a freight train began to fill the area as destructive force winds began ripping a community apart.
Queen Anne 911 status of your emergency.
I think a tornado just hit my house.
Okay, is there damage to your residence?
Oh, yeah, like suffocating. Damage?
A whole back of my house is gone.
I heard a crash of lightning and thunder, but within 4 minutes, water started dripping and it's coming in faster now.
The house has collapsed.
The house collapsed?
Yeah.
An EF2 tornado that started over the bay landed in the community of Bay City in Kent Island. An EF2 tornado is categorized by 111 to 135 mile/hour wind speeds and threatens considerable damage. Less than 10% of tornadoes actually reach this severity. The unrelenting storm dropped the tornado in Bay City. It then traveled north up Route 8, damaging multiple homes and destroying Farmer John's. It then turned its attention to the community of Ellendale. The EF2 twister then found its way traveling down Thompson's Creek, hurling destructive force winds towards dozens of local businesses and residents and the Island Alliance Church. Route 50 then witnessed as the storm passed over the main highway and entered the Stevensville Cemetery, splitting the trees in half that once blocked the cemetery from the highway's view. Damage was minimal to the gravestones, but the large electric poles on the other side of the cemetery were not as lucky. Route 18 was hit as a tornado traveled towards Queenstown, where the strong winds affected many more businesses and homes before finally escaping back into the storm from whence it came. The storm was fast and unpredictable. Its destruction lasted less than 5 minutes, but the emergency response was immediate. Department of Emergency Services Director Scott Haas.
We had over 30 agencies engaged in rescue operations at the peak of it, and that was about 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. Kent Island Volunteer Fire Department was the primary commanding agency during the event, and we set up a unified command booth, and Paul Schlutterback was the incident commander. And I think the first arriving officer was Tracy Schultz.
We've had a couple of storms before, and they've been straight line winds. But this one here is a whole different storm, Schultz said. He said the debris field and the amount of destruction was just devastating. More than 20 fire departments from surrounding counties assisted in the emergency response. A mobile emergency operations center was established in Mowbray Park, which included Maryland State Police, Queen Anne's County Sheriff's Department, Queen Anne's County Emergency Services, and public safety teams. Queen Anne's County and help from these agencies were able to control a potential catastrophic event and through great preparation keep a distraught community well protected.
We have spent a lot of time doing drills, tabletop exercises, getting the group prepared to do exactly what we did.
County Commissioner Jim Moran, who was at the command center Monday morning, said that the county's response was flawless.
Volunteer firemen sitting there ready to go to check every home in Bay City, and it was a well-oiled machine.
In what can only be described as a miracle.
It looked like somebody steered the storm away from homes. And if you look at the path the storm took from the air, it looked like it purposely dodged houses the way it went. And if you walk the grounds in the area, it did a lot of damage and significant damage with trees and going through people's yards, but it did a good job of avoiding homes. It did destroy a lot of homes and it did damage a lot of homes, but it could have been much, much worse than what it was. We had only minor injuries from residents on scene.
Only a single individual required medical treatment after sustaining a puncture wound to the back. No lives were lost in what could have potentially been a very horrific development. 9,000 homes and businesses were left without power. Multiple roads were closed. 155 properties were impacted by the storm. 10 homes were completely destroyed, 2 businesses were laid in waste. Within hours, Queens County had set up shelters and helped many people keep safe and away from the affected areas. Animal Welfare League set up shelters for pets, Red Cross was in the area, and Queens County government were beginning the first steps of rebuilding a community. When the sun had come up on July 24th, the area was unrecognizable for some. People waking up to their normal schedule were astonished to find Kent Island struck by this fast storm. By daybreak, plans of action were already well on their way, including carefully mapped out procedures by the Department of Public Works to get power back on, a Bay Bridge emergency plan to help with traffic, and law enforcement patrols that surveyed the entire area.
The biggest hero in this whole thing, Delmarva Power, has done a phenomenal job, and I cannot commend their staff anymore. They have just done a phenomenal job.
Early estimations had that it could take up to 5 days to restore power. However, their tireless efforts and hard work got the power back to over 8,000 of those homes in less than 24 hours. By the time the sun rose on July 25th, only 38 homes sat without power. Only 5 people were in a shelter. The worst of the storm was behind us. On July 25th at noon, Commissioner Steve Wilson took to the air to survey the damage of the tornado, along with Deputy Bill Shepling.
By the tornado in Bay City, we were able to orbit about 800 feet so they could get a first-hand view of what it looks like and some photographs to be able to see the damage and actually an aerial view of what happened. The advantage is of an aerial view. It's an aerial platform that can be used by the Sheriff's Office. This was given to us by the federal government about 2 years ago. It was a study program that ended, and we were able to get it for no cost. But it gives the Sheriff's Office an aerial platform to work from for searches, surveillance.
The scene from above gave Commissioner Wilson a bird's eye view of the chaos that lay below. It was time for Queens County and its residents to come together. The community didn't disappoint. Red Cross, Atlantic Broadband, Verizon, Home Depot, and many more local services, neighbors, friends, and family joined together. It was a miracle no lives were lost during the tornado that shook Queens County to its core, but it's hard work that will bring everything back to normal. Disaster assistance centers were set up at Mattapique Elementary School. Maryland Insurance Agency representatives, along with county and state agencies, offered individuals who were affected needed information. Department of Public Works opened up transfer stations and offered extended hours for debris disposal. Communities offered picnics, food, home, and board to victims.
People care. So, whatever insurance doesn't cover, we're here committed to help just because we care.
And that right there is what the community is all about. So you guys deserve a round of applause. Thank you guys very much.
Chief Dave, commissioners, department heads, I'd like to commend all you fellas for the job you've done. I mean, you really stepped up. The community needed it. You've been there for us. And really the tip of the cap to your organization. Train as much as you need to train to do the job you've done. Thank you.
With a strong community and never-ending support from the commissioners, emergency services, the Sheriff's Office, the Department of Public Works, and numerous other agencies, we will move forward from this tornado even stronger.